The sun begins to set here after another beautiful day in early April in the Phoenix area, and the sun is beginning to set on the abbreviated season for your Grand Canyon University Lopes men's rugby team as they take the pitch for the final time in 2021 in this abbreviated season, and they will battle the team that they are trying to avenge a loss from 2 weeks ago, their arch rivals from down Interstate 10, the Wildcats of the University of Arizona. Good evening, everybody. Jim Howe welcoming you to the GCU practice soccer field, and as I welcome to the microphones a man who knows just about as much as you can know in a balanced effort about these two teams, because he's the first Rugby All-American in University of Arizona history, and he's a member of the U of A Rugby Hall of Fame, and he's a man who began the GCU men's rugby program some 7 years ago. As I welcome Ryan Kelly to our microphones, 63-20, Ryan, was the result 2 weeks ago up at Williams-Sitton Field in Tucson for the Wildcats. The Wildcats who have never lost to this GCU team, so that adds to the frustration for a GCU program that would love to get a victory tonight. How do they turn this around in 2 weeks to be able to kind of stem that tide of a 43-point loss?
Yeah, it's interesting. They have a few things that they can build off. In the game down in Tucson a few weeks ago, it was kind of a strange matchup in the sense that GCU dominated much of the early possession. Much of the first half was played in the University of Arizona half. GCU was much more physical, and so I think that's something they can definitely build upon. And I think that's also plays into a style that U of A can find problematic occasionally. And I think the other thing that they can build off is at the end of the game, in the last 20 minutes, GCU actually outscored U of A in that last 20 minutes. And really it was because of the slow grind of the dominant physicality. University of Arizona really plays off just a straight kind of fleet foot. They pass the ball very well. Their backs are terrific. And so it's really good, a contrasting style here today. We'll get the GCU physicality and we'll get the finesse from the University of Arizona. And
both of these teams are actually coming in off of a loss. The Lopes have not played since that 63-20 decision 2 weeks ago. But last weekend, U of A went up to the Pacific Northwest and lost to a very formidable Central Washington team by a similar dominant margin. So if you're Sean Duffy, the eighth-year head coach of the Wildcats, what are you looking to do to try to stem that tide?
Yeah, I think, once again, it's also a strange kind of game because at halftime of that match, it was very close. I think the University of Arizona trailed by only one try right around the halfway point. And once again, physically dominated in the second half by Central Washington, which is traditionally a very physical team to start with. And so I think if you're Sean Duffy, it's really just time to pull out some physical stops and start trying to pound the ball a little bit more.
Of course, if we were talking about this in a normal April, we would be talking about teams that would have anywhere from 5 to 9 decisions already under their belt. But with the pandemic and the shortened season, this is only the second game that GCU will actually play. They had several intra-squad scrimmages before they went to Tucson 2 weeks ago. And for U of A, this is kind of the midpoint of their season. This is game number 3, but they still have BYU and Air Force on the docket and are hoping to go to the D1A playoffs. And we are already underway as the Lopes kick off to the Wildcats, and the Wildcats moving from left to right across your FTF and APN Video Productions video screen. Lopes now get possession, and here is rumble, rumble, rumble from Damon McCaskill as he is brought down. But the Lopes already on the attack, and as Ryan mentioned, the Lopes actually led the first 8 minutes of the game with a 3-0 lead 2 weeks ago, and now a stop and play as we head over to still what is in sunlight here at the practice soccer field.
Yeah, and you can see right off the kickoff a take by the University of Arizona, but a quick turnover, a mistake by U of A on a little knock-on on an offload, and so no advantage from that, and so the scrum will go to GCU here.
Joe Burpo is the lead referee in this three-man crew tonight, and Tucker Trickey set for the throw-in as everyone gets set. Lopes in their home purple and black with black trunks, and the Wildcats in their red tops and navy blue jerseys for the road. Still scoreless, just underway. Glad you're with us here on FTF as Tricky lowers it through, picks it up, and the Lopes unfortunately get it on the deflection.
Fortunately, that went backwards off the hands, and so they retained possession.
And Royce Fisher, the captain, right in the right place, but there is a forward pass, and so the Lopes will give up the possession there.
Just tried a little bit too much at the end of that play. Probably should have just taken the tackle and played the possession. Tried to make one more pass, and it just didn't pay off.
Well, and you've got to figure, too, Ryan, with seniors like Sam Muter and Royce Fisher and David McCaskill, there's got to be a little bit of nerves because they know this is the last time they're going to take the pitch wearing purple.
So true. You've got the 3 seniors and then of course, a ton of youth on the GCU team. Almost everybody out there is a freshman or sophomore, so they're really going to be a force in the future.
Maxime Cathala set to throw it in for the Wildcats, the native of France, as we are on the near sideline and right at the midfield stripe here at the GCU practice soccer field.
Quick penalty right there off the scrum for U of A. Looks like they'll kick to touch here too. Try and pin it deep.
So the Wildcats ready to get some field position in their manner, and Tricky will kick to touch, and it'll be a line out. Looks like right at the edge of the 22. So handling it will be the junior Eric Cervantes. We'll set the lineups when we get a chance.
This is where U of A can be very dangerous. A very good tacking position off the 22-meter.
Lopes trying to steal the line out, but a good throw by Cervantes, and look at the scrum move. So the Wildcats exerting and getting it, and almost an intercept by the Lopes. But Cervantes comes up with it.
Oh, they've got some numbers out wide.
A good tackle that time, though, by the captain, as Royce Fisher hinders it, but U of A gets it back, and on the far sideline, breaking tackles, and then a steal. What an intercept by McCaskill. He just ripped it out of the hands of Jack Brown. And now the Lopes trying to get some field position back.
Just trying to create a little space here so they can kick to touch.
Tricky set. And the Lopes losing ground. Jackson Gray just trying to stay above the line.
Oh, a terrific kick right there off the back of that ruck. The ruck was right under the goalpost, and he just picked it right out and kicked it out to about the 10-meter line.
So the Lopes, in kind of desperation, able to get some field position on their side of the advantage. We played nearly 5 minutes here in this scoreless first half from the GCU practice soccer field. Lopes have been in existence since 2014, and nobody knows that better than Ryan Kelly because he began the program back in 2014.
It was a great new program, and GCU really supported it, so it was fantastic.
Line out by the Wildcats as Daniel Hagan comes down with it, and suddenly the Wildcats straight up the middle on the move.
Good hands there by the U of A backs, and they've got an open lane.
There's a breakaway, and crossing the line for the try, Ryan Thompson, the sophomore, and gets up limping as the Lopes were trying to cover it, and now Thompson is down in the corner.
Got a little wide on GCU on that play. Just went straight through the hands to the backs, but ran the fullback in the middle, and that took out an extra defender and just had one man too many around the outside. Good start, though, for the U of A Wildcats.
So a timeout as Thompson being attended to just off the playing surface. Lopes, as we mentioned, 0-1 on the season. U of A 1-1. And Thompson is back up, and he's going to be able to walk off under his own power. So we'll keep it here.
Both of these teams are looking fairly strong this season. It's hard to get a judge for just how good they are because all three of the teams I've seen play this year, GCU, U of A, and Central Washington, are all probably top 20 teams. And so it's hard to get a gauge until you see a few more games. A disadvantage for this shortened season for sure.
Robert Figley was a perfect 9 for 9 the first time these two teams played in 2-point conversions, but with Thompson scoring the try in the corner, this is going to be a creative one that he's going to have to angle from deep. Kick is up, and it's tailing, and a beauty. Figley able to put it through, so as we near the 33-minute mark, it's U of A striking first, 7-0.
Yeah, that was indeed a terrific kick from the almost from the touch line wide. He sent that right through.
Well, GCU fans, if you haven't already, it's time to download the Lope Nation app. You can watch GCU home sporting events directly from your app or receive personalized news and score updates for your favorite Lopes teams. You can follow the Lopes closer than ever before with scores, schedules, stories, and more. And even more perks on the way. Search GCU Athletics in your phone's app store or download the GCU Athletics app now at gcolopes.com/app.
Yeah, Figley's had a good career already at U of A. He was one of the all-stars that they got out of high school, and he's really been a great force for them, both in the running game and the kicking game. He's actually a fairly sizable player for his position.
Figley, one of 4 seniors in this starting lineup for 8-year head coach Sean Duffy, the other being Daniel Hagan, Kyle Fulton, the 2-time All Pac-12 selection, and the captain, Riley Kerr, who has scored in each of the first 2 matches for U of A. Scrum right at the center line. And here come the Wildcats on the move again, and the Lopes have to scramble back defensively. And there's a pitch from nowhere, and that will trickle out of bounds. And that's actually kind of a break, Ryan, for the Lopes, as the Lopes were really scrambling to being able to get enough people out to the sideline to cover.
Indeed, they had numbers out on the short side there, and they just couldn't get it through the hands quick enough. Good defense by GCU as they cross-covered well on that.
So William Houston, the freshman forward from Levin Grove, California, is set for the line-out. And the Lopes had really been working on this in the pregame, but Muter can't get a handle on it. And the Wildcats with the intercept. Eric Cervantes gets inside the 22.
A little bit of over the top of the ruck there. Players just piling in over the top and holding the ball.
And the Lopes look like they are going to try and kick for field position, and do. And that's one of the things that Sean O'Leary talked about was the foot of Tucker Trickey. Even though he does not handle the 2-point conversions, he said, watch out when this kid has a chance to give us some help with field position, and he did it right there.
Yeah, he played extremely well in the first matchup. I thought he was probably the stabilizing force for GCU in many of the plays.
Houston's set for another line out. And the Lopes scramble, and again, it's over the top, but this time they're covering it as Ian Cleveland able to make the catch before he's brought down. And the Lopes on the move as they try to move towards the far sideline, but another intercept and a nice cut inside by Jacob Rossell, and he will go right between the posts for the try. Well, the Lopes had what they wanted. It just was an errant pass, and Rossell right place, right time for the second try of the evening for U of A.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. It just had a little bit high on the pass. It went over the head and just perfect bounce for the attacking defender, ran right through. So that's a tough play for GCU.
So Figley will have a much easier attempt to try and make it a 14-0 lead.
Yeah, this one is substantially easier. He's right in front here, and I'd say the chances of him missing this are almost nil. It's interesting, two lineouts in a row already for GCU where they've had an overthrow, which is kind of that was what we saw a lot of in the first matchup too. Mm-hmm. So that was I'm hoping that is not going to continue to plague them as we go through, but they really need to work off the back of the lineout because every time it's over, it's just a clear run-on for the U of A defense, and that's what we saw there that started that play.
They've been trying to use all 6'3" of their senior Sam Muter, but unfortunately in those first 2 throws, he's needed to be about 6'6".
That's right, just off the fingertips.
Figley's 2-point conversion is true, so it's now 14-0. Wildcats on top, and it's Royce Fisher, the captain, kicking away, and U of A on the move once again. Lopes quickly on it. Nice tackle by Asher Davidson, the freshman.
I'm just going to clear it out here, I think, which they do very well.
I was going to say that's one thing that you saw very early in the first half against Central Washington was that U of A was putting the foot on the ball every single time they had a chance just to try to get to field position, knowing what Central Washington could do.
Yeah, Central Washington put a lot of pressure on them, and they were using the kick wisely in the first half to basically bail out some tough situations. In the second half, it kind of caught up with them. So here we have a GCU line out again. It'd be interesting to see if we get one of these overthrows again.
Well, and for that matter, Muter at this point looks like he's on the side, not one of the leads. Now he backs up, and it's a stolen line out. And a nice play by U of A as Maxima Cathala is able to come up with it. And the Wildcats on the move right into the middle of the Lopes defense.
Good tackle there.
Higley was trying to fake out the defender, but Caleb Peavy would have none of it. Peavy, one of two freshman twins on this team, and they are certainly two of the ones to watch as far as Sean O'Leary is concerned. Joshua on the front line and Caleb Peavy on the back line, the Houston natives.
Little penalty here coming against GCU, just creeping up on the defensive line off the back of the ruck. And the referee saw a few guys just over the line before the ball came out. And so they're going to take a shot at goal here.
So Figley setting it up as we move inside of the 27-minute mark here in half number one. And so far, the majority of the time has been spent with the Lopes on their heels.
A little bit different than the first matchup where really the first 20 minutes were dominated in many ways by GCU. Here we've seen a little bit of a reversal. A lot of the games have been played in the GCU half. And so this is a bit of a change up and a good sign for U of A.
Well, and I think, Ryan, those two missed lineouts have really played into the Wildcats' offensive plans.
So critical to win those set pieces when you get them, especially when you get good attacking position, which they've had a few right in the midfield where you can take advantage of it. So here's the kick. This is about right from the 10-meter line, so about 40 meters off.
Figley with plenty of leg, has the distance and has the accuracy. And so Sean Duffy going straight for the jugular very early. And now building a 17-point lead.
And GCU really needs to get some action started here and start marching the ball downfield like they did in that first matchup, where they really took it to physically U of A and kept the ball in close. I have a feeling they're going to have to change that and keep it in close in the forwards.
Once again, it's Fisher kicking away, and that one will go to touch.
Cardinal mistake by the University of Arizona Wildcats right there. Never let the ball bounce on the kickoff, and I think just some miscommunication and results in some really good field position for GCU.
Looked like there were two or three guys that were kind of looking at each other, trying to figure out who was going to be the one that was going to bring it down. So now the Lopes, who have been kind of hit and miss on the lineouts, U of A will inbound it. And the throw in from Cervantes goes straight into the hands of James Rivers. And the Wildcats moving right down the middle again.
Some really good lineouts by U of A. They're just really on target throws.
Kick for touch, bounces right at the midfield stripe. And a line out.
GCU shouldn't be too unhappy with that. They're still in the U of A half and in a pretty good attacking position here. So although U of A played for some field position there, works out fairly well for GCU. We'll see if they can hit this line out here after 3 in a row missed now. It's critical that they start nailing some of these if they want to keep in the game here.
So William Houston straddling the center field or center line. And the throw tipped around. Lopes still hanging on to it as McCaskill right in the middle of that.
Great play by McCaskill to snare that.
Hands off to Tucker Trickey, and great kick by Trickey as that just kept on going.
unfortunate it didn't roll out of bounds just at the 1 yard line there. Unfortunately, it just rolled into the end goal, and so we get a 22 dropout here.
So John Rogers, the senior who normally is starting for them, but he is coming off of Sean Duffy's bench tonight, was the one who waited for that to go all the way through.
Yeah, well played. He just kind of let it roll, and it just took that last roll into the try zone.
That kick straight into the lap of Ben Thompson. And once again, the Lopes desperately trying to get some field position. And there's some applause from Sean O'Leary's sideline as that one orchestrated well. That'll go out of bounds, and that will be great field position now for GCU.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that we missed in the first match. That's really good to see from the young back three from GCU. We saw virtually no kick through or above high balls from the back three in the last matchup, but that was perfectly placed into some good position.
Cervantes right on point with the throw, and the Wildcats now moving and finding a hole right up the middle. Lopes giving chase, handoff by Abe Turpin, and that one's picked off. It's Tucker Trickey with the steal. So the Lopes thwarting what could have been a breakaway for U of A, and now Peavy trying to get a hold of it.
Let's see if GCU can start some physical running here like they did in the last 20 minutes from a few weeks ago.
Caleb Peavy found a little room.
That's exactly what they do. They pounded it in a little bit and got a penalty out of it.
So the Lopes with possession and Tricky with the ball.
They're going to kick for field position here. Try and get some field position and a line out down deep. They should get some. They should get a very nice opportunity out of. Oh wait, we've got a scrum.
Looks like a scrum here.
Yeah.
And GCU will have the put in, courtesy of Tucker Trickey.
Looked like he called a penalty there, but potentially that was just the arm out for the scrum. So I'm not sure what changed there, if anything.
Nearing the midpoint of this first half, so far it has been all U of A.
A little bit of messiness on these scrums so far. I don't think we've seen a very stable scrum. We've had a few of them, and
a few whistles right afterwards.
Yeah. A couple of them resulted in free kicks to U of A, so we'll see if GCU can get this stabilized. 2 weeks ago, they were dominant in the scrums. That was one of the areas they really excelled in.
Good crowd in the stands here at the practice soccer field, most of them wearing purple, as you would imagine, but a few making the trip up I-10.
Oh, great little sidestep there by Royce Fisher.
Lopes now moving towards the near sideline. Nice quick pass. And Tricky, the one brought down, but the Lopes retaining possession. Spin by Ian Cleveland. And the Lopes continuing to move forward. Peavy with a nice toss to Fisher. Fisher cuts in between two Wildcats before he's brought down.
Oh, they got some room on the outside here.
Cut inside, close to the line.
Oh, he's right on the goal line here.
No signal yet.
I think we'll see some pounding by the forwards from GCU here.
And the Wildcats able to push him back and makes the steal.
Quick hands in the ruck there, poached it right out.
James Rivers anticipated well, and the sophomore able to thwart GCU's potential first score. Field position kick, and now here come the Lopes.
There it is again.
Straight back, Jackson Wolf with the little chip shot. Wildcats have it. John Rogers carrying a couple of Lopes, a couple of extra feet. Lopes digging at that ball, but the Wildcats hanging on to possession. Nice handoff at the last minute. Goes to Cathala. And the Wildcats on the move down the far sideline.
Very nice offloads, one after another by U of A Wildcats there. Unfortunately, just on that last one, a little bit forward, results in a scrum for GCU. Some great hard running, though, in the backs. Just taking it one or two extra steps and getting a little bit of an offload.
Great timing on the offload passes.
Missed opportunity for GCU right there, all the way down to the goal line, literally on the 1 foot line almost, and just couldn't punch it across.
With it being a 90-degree day, it is time for a water break. So we will step aside with 18:59 left to go first half. It's the Arizona Wildcats 17, your GCU Lopes nothing, and you are watching Lopes Men's Rugby right here on APN and FTF. Came to GCU, and he's in his second year and completing his second year at the helm. And he's not only the men's head rugby coach, he's also the director of rugby operations and oversees a very successful women's rugby program that is overseen by head coach Lindsay Mahoney. So far, Sean O'Leary would like to see better results on that scoreboard as the Wildcats on top 17-0 here at the midpoint.
Indeed, I was one of the board members of the U of A Rugby when we did the coaching search that hired Sean Duffy. Just absolutely fantastic to get him aboard. Great for the program. He's got fantastic ties across the high school rugby community.
Not to mention, what a job, Ryan, the fact that he comes in an unenviable position. He's replacing a legend in William Sitton after 35 years after the tragic passing of William Sitton. And what does he do? He takes him to the D1 AA championship game his first year.
Exactly, and then right on to the Division I playoffs the following years. And so he's done some spectacular things for a very storied program. U of A, this is their 52nd year of rugby compared to, I think, 7 now for GCU.
You should know that,
they've got a little bit of an advantage, but it really is a storied program. There's so many great players out of that U of A program. USA Eagles, 15 sevens, All-Americans, just some fantastic get-togethers. A little bit of touch on the alumni team, then you get some great players playing.
And in case you missed our pregame, the man that you are hearing, Ryan Kelly, knows all about both programs since he was the first All-American in U of A rugby history, and he's a member of the U of A Rugby Hall of Fame. And he came to GCU in 2014 and began this storied program and spent the first 3 years building it from the ground up.
Hard work, a lot of fun, I'll tell you. I spent a lot of long hours trying to recruit some good high school players, and we really were lucky. We got some great ones in the early days.
Lopes still cannot get a line out to work as that one was right through the hands of Caleb Price. And the Wildcats on the move again. And that, if you're really going to point to something that Sean O'Leary is going to hit hard in that halftime locker room, it's got to be the missed opportunities in the lineouts.
Yeah, the line-out opportunities have just been missed one after another. That's got to be the toughest part of the game for GCU so far.
So that goes out for touch. Asher Davidson retrieves it for the Lopes, and it's going to be a line-out. It looks like right near the midfield stripe. So once again, William Houston will have a chance to make connection. And Damon McCaskill, the senior, comes over to say something before the Lopes are able to get set up.
Seems to be just a little bit of misconnection there. Oh, there it is again.
And that time they tried to go short, and instead it's dropped, goes on the ground, and Jack Brown comes up with it, and suddenly the Wildcats going the other way in a diving try.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's a try directly off an error by GCU on the lineout. Really just one mistake. They threw it, got one errant bounce, and I think it was either the hooker or the wing on the very short side of the field just came through and picked it up off the bounce, and just no stopping at that point. So.
And that's the second try of the day for Jacob Brossell. So Robert Figley will have a little bit more of a creative angle as this one was scored on the far side. But so far, he's 2 for 2 in 2-point conversions, and he's also hit one penalty kick. So trying to keep perfect, not only in this game, but against GCU on the season. He's counting the 63-20 win. He's 11 for 11 in 2-point conversions against his Lope squad.
Harkening back to his high school All-American days. Some great kicking. He's definitely one of the premier kickers in college rugby. Ranks up there with some of the preeminent teams, Cal and St. Mary's, and U of A is really in that category now. They're really playing some great rugby. Let's see.
once again.
Knocked
Plenty
right
of
through.
leg. My
Crazy.
goodness.
Yeah, that's
so the native of Annandale, Virginia, stays perfect, and he adds to the Wildcats' lead. U of A on top now 24-0 as they try to get back above the 500 mark on the season as they came in 1-1. Well, are you looking for the right place to help advance your education? GCU has all the right tools and programs to help you find your purpose. For more information on what Grand Canyon University has to offer or to enroll, just visit gcu.edu.
somewhat surprising there. Another ball hitting the ground on the kickoff for U of A. You just don't see that very often, and nothing untoward there. They cleared it to touch, but that's something they can definitely work on.
But Ryan, being the coach that you are, how hard is that when you know that normally in April you would be thinking about the 7th, 8th, even 9th game of the season? You're in your second game, and as Sean O'Leary has said, we had 54 weeks of inactivity. How do you kind of temper that with wanting to educate, but also wanting to make sure you don't make these kind of mistakes?
Yeah, I think that's the tough part, and I think it's even tougher because most of the time you're playing you're knocking the rust off really in the fall, and they didn't have that either. So it's almost a double whammy, and with a younger team like GCU, even tougher. So it's not surprising that you're seeing some of the errors by the GCU team, young and not a lot of games under their belt.
Very alert kick by Lucas Agasse. Takes it well inside the 22.
Seems like U of A has figured out that the trouble with the GCU line out, and they seem intent on just knocking it down as deep as they can out of bounds and trying to get the takeaway on the line out. Which
just daring them. Yeah. So once again, William Houston trying to find the connection. And again, Damon McCaskill coming over to confer.
And you got 14 points directly off line-out errors. There's another one.
Once again, knocked away. Coming up with it, Kyle Fulton, the senior. And the Wildcats trying to split the defense one more time. Jack McCrossan brought down right in the middle. Good carry and straight in for the try. Abe Turpin, the freshman, makes it a 29-0 lead for U of A.
He just took the half gap there, right off just the short gap off the errant line out once again, and unfortunately, same thing. Great attacking position. Got to win those lineouts.
So there's a lot of things that the Lopes could necessarily point to as to what this scoreboard reflects, but as we talked about, the Wildcats now pretty much daring GCU to be able to get the lineouts down.
Yeah, what's strange here is you really, if he knocks this one through, which in all likelihood he will, this is about the second easy one that he's had, but if he knocks this through, you'll have 31 points, but 21 of them literally directly off line-out errors. And so those are kind of things that GCU's got to clean up. And like we said, hopefully as they get a little bit more playing under their belt over the next few years here, a lot of these young players will clean that up.
And as Figley is about to try and kick it through, which he does, to make it a 31-0 lead. Always coaching, Sean O'Leary talking to a couple of his leaders, Caleb Price and Sam Muter, in the corner, just trying to get the message across. And that's one thing, Ryan, and I know that you and Sean O'Leary have had a relationship for quite a while, but have certainly done a lot of conferring over the past couple of years since he took the job. That's one thing about Sean is he's that big, burly native of Dublin, Ireland, that he could very easily be blustery and all of that. But when he gets his point across, he says it in very methodical terms.
Yeah, and as I know all too well, he will take care of these line-out problems. I remember our first year, we played Notre Dame. They were kind enough to come out here and give us a game as a brand new program, which was unbelievable for the campus to have a Notre Dame team come out. And they really, really abused us in the lineouts, surprisingly, but not because of our errors, but just because they had a much bigger team than we did that year. We got them back the next year, though. So
suddenly, Caleb Peavy breaking through, inching towards the line. It goes down, but Peavy holds on.
Not sure what we have here.
Stop and play.
Yeah.
But the Lopes not hanging their heads, trying to desperately get on the scoreboard.
Nice.
And lead official Joe Burpo calling a stop, and it looks like we're going to have a scrum.
Seems like they would get the ball into Caleb's hands a little bit more. He's really found some space almost every time he's had an attack with the ball, and that was no difference there. Not sure what the call was, though. Looks like maybe a knock-on at the end of that play. We couldn't see it from here.
So Kathala is going to have the put-in for U of A. As Burpo gets ready to get them set. Clock now inside of 10 minutes in this first half.
Oh, great scrum by the GCU Lopes there.
Lopes spinning it around. Wildcats come away, but the Lopes are quick to tackle, and that's Sam Muter bringing him down.
Kind of surprised we didn't get a penalty there on U of A. It looked like he was down and held, but he jumped back up with it.
Riley Kerr looks like he's on the bottom of that pile, but the Wildcats now kick for touch, as they have been doing very effectively all night long.
I'll tell you, they're still going to have a great attacking position here right about the 22-meter line, so slightly outside of it, but a great attacking position if they could just secure this line-out ball. And this is one of those ones where you really think if they could just secure the line-out, get the ball out to Caleb in the outside center position there, might get something going.
Well, and you've got under 8 minutes, Ryan, and yes, it's a 31-0 deficit for Sean O'Leary, but how important to him as far as the culture of this team is it to try and get that donut off the scoreboard before halftime?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and once again, they've had two really good opportunities, both of them inside the 1 or 2 yard line, and just can't punch it in.
And now we've got to stop, and Joe Burpo sending him towards the U of A try line.
Not quite sure what happened here. We had a touch clearance kick. Okay, so I think what happened potentially is, I'm not sure, we'll have to go back and take a look, but I think potentially the ruck took place outside the 22, and then they threw it back inside the 22, and then it went directly to touch, which, for those of you that understand these meaningless terms, that in essence is a no-no. And so, in essence, it goes back to where he kicked it out of bounds, or where he kicked it from, sorry.
So Tricky is going to have the put in for the Lopes. So this is crucial for GCU. This is their best chance to try and get in the try zone before halftime.
Strange, though. Now I'm thinking about it, that should have been a line out if that had been the case. Hard to tell. Not apparent from anything we've seen why they marched back even after the line out was called. So.
And once again, Joe Burpo calls the whistle to stop the scrum momentarily, and they'll reset. Clock moving towards the 6-minute mark as we get to the final moments of half number one. It's been all Wildcats as they lead 31-0.
Great opportunity here for the Lopes. This is about the best attacking position you can get. Probably on that short side, potentially, we might see something.
Tricky with the roll, waiting for it, waiting for it.
Oh, boy.
Kick to the side. Tricky able to come up with it momentarily.
Ball just popped out of there, unfortunately. They didn't get a clean pick, but they did retain possession, it looks like.
Still have it. Here's Joshua Peavy over to his twin. Caleb is brought down. Tricky now set. Right into the middle of the line goes Luke Sanders.
Got a little bit of hands down there on the ground. It looked like somebody tried to pick it out already on the ground, and we got a penalty. Quick tap.
Quick toss. Ian Cleveland getting close.
Looks like we're playing an advantage here, too, on the penalty.
And that's the perfect time for
try.
McCaskill, and McCaskill gets it down for the try.
We might see a yellow card here, too. I don't know. It looked like a penalty was about to be called on one of those tackles. Maybe the feet got above the head.
So as we go to the replay, so the first time that Royce Fisher will have a chance for a 2-point conversion to try and make this a 31-7 Wildcats margin. Fisher ready, plenty of leg.
Just missed it to the right.
But not accurate.
Just off to the right, plenty of leg on that. I'll tell you, GCU, unfortunately, might be kicking themselves a little bit here at halftime because this game actually is.
They've had plenty of opportunities, yeah.
Right? I mean, they gave away 3 tries and they had 2 quick ones that they could have knocked in. So fairly competitive game, surprisingly for the score we've got, and maybe not indicative of how close the match really is, but some good play by the University of Arizona taking advantage of every opportunity they've had.
Clock moving inside of 4 minutes, although, as you know, the lead official keeping the official clock on the field. That one fumbled, but McCaskill gets it and just pushing away Wildcats as he adds about 15 extra yards. Now Peavy with the speed after McCaskill with the power. Retaining possession, GCU. Now it's on the ground, and it's Caleb Peavy trying to scramble to get it. And that'll be Wildcats' possession, and that's a costly mistake as the Lopes seem to have a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, that was eerily reminiscent of some of the early prop work by the GCU team back in the day when we had people like Nick Kwasniewski, who was a high school All-American, and Thomas Knopp, who was a huge human being. A funny story about he came on to GCU for a campus visit with us, and I wasn't here, so I arranged for Merrick Firestone, our assistant coach, to meet with him. And I just got a text message from Merrick. He said, I just met with him. We need him. About 6'3", 300 pounds.
Oh,
so
my.
he's a big man. So hope he's doing well up in Washington.
Scrum down, and U of A will have the put in. And Cathala about ready to put it in, and now Joe Burpo stopping play and talking to a couple of the Wildcats that were at the bottom. So we will do it again.
I hope Thomas Knopp doesn't get mad at me for saying he weighed 300 pounds.
You might get a text.
I'll go 290.
You might get a text or a DM, right?
I won't give him the 300. So. Never wants a 300 tag. Nobody wants
that. Cathala this time with a clean put in, and the Wildcats able to get it.
Oh, boy.
Cathala with a nice pitch. Getting inside is Kyle Fulton, one of the most experienced Wildcats on the team.
Yeah,
nice tackle.
Kyle's been a great player for U of A. He's really put in a lot of game hours, and this one's going to go out the back. Yep.
At the last minute, Figley doing what he does best. He knows how to put the foot on the ball.
We got a penalty all the way back where the original tackle occurred. I think there were some offsides right around that ruck. Let's see what they've got here.
Here on the near sideline. So U of A is going to retain possession.
They'll just punch it out here and try and get a line out. Yep, there's the punch out. Get a 5-meter line out here.
And as is customary, the scoreboard clock now moving inside of a minute. Many times they will stop the clock at a minute.
This might be the last movement. It'd be really good for GCU if they could hold them out of here.
Yep. So ready to throw it into Cervantes. And if there was ever a time to steal a line out, it's this time, but GCU can't do it.
They sacked him, fortunately, and put him down so we don't get a rolling maul here. Oh.
And a nice cut inside, scrambling for the try line, but just short is Agassi. And to the outside, and the Wildcats finally able to make it happen, courtesy of John Rogers, who, even though he didn't get the start, normally he's wearing jersey number 15. He's been wearing jersey number 23 and has seen an awful lot of time.
Some nice work out of the U of A backs there. Quick ball off the ruck and just took it out to the same side, exhausting that side of the field, and just not enough defenders there for GCU.
So Figley once again, and this could very easily close out the half.
This probably is likely the end of the half here. We'll see.
So Figley will be setting up this time towards the far sideline. But so far, it really has not mattered whether it's a chip shot or if it's something he has to get really creative on. He has been absolutely perfect.
I'll tell you, this is the hallmark of the good college rugby teams nowadays is you really take advantage of every opportunity you have, and that's what U of A has done here. Every time there's been a slight break, they've finished, and finishing tries is so critical in this game, and U of A is really doing a nice job.
Figley trying to go 5 for 5, and he already has a penalty kick to his credit so far tonight.
If I was a betting man, I'd say he's going to make it.
Yeah, there you go. 2 Lopes defenders running at him. This one not as much leg, and that one,
there we go.
You would have lost the bet, Ryan.
This is why I don't bet.
And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of Wildcat fans right now saying we just jinxed it. But it is halftime as both teams head to their respective sidelines, and we will take a breather. Halftime up next. And here's your halftime score from the practice soccer field here at the Grand Canyon University campus. It's the Arizona Wildcats 36, your GCU Lopes 5. Stick around. There's more action coming up right here on APN Video Productions and FTF. With our director, Mike Caratanudo, and with our producer, Jeff Lowry. Along with Ryan Kelly, Jim Howe welcoming you back to the GCU practice soccer field. 40 minutes down and 40 minutes left in the Lopes abbreviated pandemic season, and trying to avenge an earlier loss against U of A, but not too many things going right. It is 36-5. Wildcats with the lead, and they will kick it off. And really a jump ball as the Lopes barely able to cover it. And now a nice kick for touch, or actually a kick for field position, I should say. And here is Rogers, and the Wildcats on the move again as Figley just timing that kick perfectly, and that one will go kick for touch to put the Lopes deep in their own zone.
Just daring them, continue on with that. Obviously, Sean Duffy had a discussion with him and said, hey, put it to touch, put it deep, let it roll, and let's try and take the line out. That's exactly what the strategy was in the first half.
Line out, pretty much a 4-letter word for the Lopes in that first 40 minutes. They just, for some reason, even though they really have not shown any penchant for miscues as far as lineouts, they have just not been able to field any clean lineouts in that first half.
Yeah, really the strength of the scrum that we saw in the first match between the two teams hasn't come to fruition because there's been a lot of lineouts.
And
nicely
finally,
taken.
they're able to get it completed cleanly. So William Houston with the nice toss is Sam Muter able to bring it down. And so the Lopes with possession, but in a dangerous part of the field.
They're actually moving it here.
Second time tonight that we've really seen the Lopes own this kind of a meltdown and be able to push the pile forward. And you can hear the Lopes fans in their appreciation. And Tucker Trickey with a deep kick.
Nice deep box kick there. Just not quite close enough to the sidelines to really pin him, though.
Figley getting some room, but that one goes awry. I think one of the Lopes able to tip it. Wildcats able to get it back. Cathala able to pitch that. Nice broken tackle from Jack McCrossan.
Quick ball there on the ruck.
And as you've mentioned a couple of times tonight, Ryan, that those pinpoint tosses, they have really been on point for the Wildcats. Really? Nice open field tackle by Tucker Trickey.
Really good judo tackle there, the throw. Really nice pass right on the fingertips. Beautiful out in front.
Muter able to slow him down, but once again, it's Abe Turpin who already has a try to his credit.
Pretty methodical here as U of A is working it down the field.
In no hurry, up 31.
Making the gain line almost every time. Oh, good run on there.
McCaskill with a hard tackle that time on Figley.
They've got some numbers wide here if they could just punch it out quickly.
Broken tackles by Rogers.
Good cover defense by GCU as they came back.
Wildcats change direction.
It looked like a prop run right there. He's running about a foot off the ground. Very low center of gravity. And we've got
stop and play. The Lopes
Little offside there.
And they were almost able to get their hands on the ball.
Just up a little too quick off the back of the ruck there.
So Figley looks like he's going to set up a line out, which he does.
This one they'll get to throw in, though, so we'll see what happens here. They've been very good on their own lineouts today.
Lopes have only been able to steal one of the lineouts, and stealing lineouts has been the nature of the beast as far as the Wildcats are concerned. They have been able to pretty much thwart every single time the Lopes have had it on the side. Cervantes going over the top, and once again a nice catch.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that in the first half. The penalty here is going to U of A. GCU sacking pulling down the receiver of the ball, and we saw that they got away with it in the first half on one, but that time the referee saw it.
So Jack Brown, the victim, and Figley will set up another line out for U of A. Again, deep in GCU's zone, and this is the first time, the deepest penetration the Wildcats have had so far in this half. And we played nearly 5 minutes. Once again, it's Cervantes on the side. And that one intercepted nicely by the Lopes.
Taste of their own medicine there. Just grabbed it right from the line out.
Muter using all of his 6'3" frame, and the senior able to get the possession for the Lopes as Peavy trying to push his way through the line. Kick for possession again, going towards the center line.
Pretty good box kick there. He put that right in the 15. Oh, referee says play on. Looks like the legs did not go above the head there, the neck.
Lopes getting a little bit more animated.
Oh, we got some guys running on here. Let's see how cleanly we can field it. Oh.
Scrambling. And the Wildcats on it.
Unfortunate for GCU. They just couldn't quite get a clean pickup there at the goal line. And it looks like Lucas
Agasse, yeah, I think, is the man of the hour as he's able to touch it down.
Bit of messiness there. Ball's just rolling free, and he seemed to be the one in the best position. Came by, scooped it up, and put it in the corner.
So Agasse with his first of the night. And once again, Figley, who was perfect until the last play of the first half, where he missed the 2-point conversion, now is going to have a similar one to the first kick he had, since Agasse's try was at the far corner of the try zone.
It's funny, I think Figley's from Virginia.
He is, Annandale.
Yeah, and it's funny how these programs tend to get feeder programs, but I know early in GCU's history, Virginia was a fantastic feeder for the GCU program. In fact, when we started the program, we directly recruited out of a team called Fort Hunt in Indiana, and they sent us 6 players the first year. 3 of them or 4 of them were high school All-Americans. That was the core to our team for 4 years, and really served as a conduit for us. And I think U of A's had a lot of those too, where they've had a lot of programs continue to send players directly to the team one after another, year after year. The Rogers brothers from California, from Northern California. It's just been, I think I'm not sure, maybe there's 20 kids in that family, all boys. No, there's maybe like 5, but they're all terrific rugby players and have really been good for U of A.
This one
just short.
So maybe Figley's leg getting a little bit tired.
He's worn out, I guess.
Yeah, he's been awfully busy most of the night. So Figley, after making his first 4 kicks, has missed his last 2. But it's still a 36-point advantage for the visitors at 41-5. And we are 7 minutes into this second half with Ryan Kelly. I am Jim Howe. Glad you're with us here on FTF and APN Video Productions as the Lopes kick it away again. And this time it's James Rivers, the sophomore, right in the middle. Peavy trying to come away with it for the Lopes.
We got a penalty.
We got a penalty on U of A, and the Lopes not wasting any time. Tricky off to McCaskill. McCaskill gets spun backwards, which doesn't happen very often for the senior. And that one goes forward, as that was a very quick toss, and I think probably a case of being too close to each other, as that bounced off of Muter.
Yeah, and the entire U of A line was off past the back foot there. They all came up too quick, and so we got a quick penalty. And it looks like GCU is going to take a scrum here. That probably is indicative of the lack of line out.
Exactly.
Normally you would see that punch down into the corner and a nice line out, and they take it right in.
And usually the praise that you've given them so far tonight, Ryan, is the fact that they have been able to own several scrums.
Yeah, so maybe this is a wise move. We'll see. It's a great attacking position, so let's see what they've got. I'm going to guess here that they go to the left and not to this short side. We'll see if my gut reaction is right or wrong here.
Only try of the night so far been scored by Damon McCaskill for GCU. They've kept Royce Fisher pretty much in check, the senior captain. And now the lead official stopping play.
Looks like we got a little bit of a turn there, and I think it got past past the 90, and so we're going to get a re-scrum here. Just enough of a turn or a tilt there.
Again, Joe Burpo, the lead official, has spent a lot of time kind of giving counsel to those at the bottom of the bottom of the scrum for U of A, and now looks like Joshua Peavy is the injured party, the Houston native. So Lene Novatsky and the GCU athletic training staff out on the field.
Yeah, and Joshua Peavy really is the old mold of a hooker that you don't see very often. You used to see a lot of the kind of smaller, very fast hookers. Have kind of gone away from that in today's game, but he really represents that old style school of hooker. Very fleet for that position.
And apparently he is okay. So we will try again with the scrum. Again, Tricky ready for the put in for GCU.
Seems like nowadays we see all three front row players about 6'1", 270 pounds, 260 pounds. He's definitely not cut from that mold.
No, he's definitely not. In fact, both Peavy twins, 5'6" and 5'7" respectively.
And I'll tell you, they use every inch of that size because they're really hard runners. Yeah.
Lopes were on the move, and actually, speaking of Caleb Peavy, he was the one who had the toss, but Joe Burpo, the lead official, stopping play momentarily, was not happy, I guess, with Tricky's quick move.
So we're going to try this scrum down all over again. After all that, we're
Take four.
Right back to where we were. But once again, indicative. I mean, U of A's done a nice job in the scrum, in the lineouts and really being disruptive. And you can tell it's got GCU rattled a little bit. They're not willing to just kick it down into the corner and take the 5-meter line out.
So now, before they get down and have to start over again, Joe Burpo is talking to the U of A frontliners about what he wants to see at the bottom of the pile.
So I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I'm going to guess we're going to get a little number 13 PV for GCU here on the short side.
I would say that's not a bad choice. Tricky, waiting.
Nope, they go to the outside side.
And here's Fisher.
Oh,
we just mentioned he's
great
been
move.
quiet, and Fisher cutting towards the near sideline. Toss at the last moment. Gets pushed back momentarily.
Superb defense by U of A right on the goal line. Just couldn't quite punch it in.
Ben Thompson was awfully close. Lopes continuing to march forward.
And we've got an advantage being played here for GCU.
Tricky with the toss, coming to the near side. That one bounces again. Asher Davidson cutting inside, inching closer.
Got a player playing the ball on the ground here, yeah. Got 2 penalties.
Tricky, now he's going to try and do it himself.
He's got it.
He's close, and he's in. Tucker Tricky, after Royce Fisher gave them the field position, able to sneak it in, and the Lopes have their second try of the night.
Interesting quick tap there on the replay. Quick tap, and he actually just dove for the line a little bit short, but he pushed it across in the one movement that you're allowed after hitting the ground, and just enough to get it to the line and tap it down. So very nice play by Tricky. I guess almost a tricky play.
I was
I couldn't
off.
resist. I couldn't resist.
Brian, I was trying so hard not to use that.
Couldn't resist.
So the 6'1" junior from Carlsbad gets the Lopes on the board and into double figures here in the second half. And now Royce Fisher, who missed his first attempt of the night in the first half, trying to go 1 for 2. And that one, not good. Looked good from here.
From our angle, that looked like it sailed right across. I'm not sure what missed on that. But Royce actually really set up that. He started that play off a few movements before that. He had a very nice, just a quick sidestep. He's got a very nice quick sidestep, almost that what we used to call the Welsh sidestep, nearly impossible to tackle somebody, and slip through the gap and really set that play up. So it was well done.
Well, we'd like to salute one of our equipment providers for Lopes Rugby, that being Lookout Mountain Family Dentistry, who provided the Lopes mouth guards for tonight's game. Sensible treatment options so you can make informed decisions about your oral health. That's what Lookout Mountain Family Dentistry is all about. For more information, just log on to Lookout Mountain Family or lookoutmountaindental.com. That's lookoutmountaindental.com. Lookout Mountain Family Dentistry, proud supporters of Lopes Rugby.
Hopefully all the guys are wearing their mouthpieces and they don't have to.
They certainly needed it on that drive.
Right. So we're going to get a kickoff here. It'll be interesting to see if GCU can field this in the air. We saw a few hit the ground for U of A. He went deep with it. Oh,
Rogers with the kick,
out.
too deep. That goes straight out to touch.
That's a tough one. That's a play you don't. As a coach, this is the kind of thing that sends you over the edge because you get a great attacking position here out of this. Very unfortunate for U of A.
So Rogers, the senior, with a bit of a miscue, and now the Lopes, once again, let's scrum it down. So the Lopes had good things happen the last time, but this one will be right at center field here at the GCU practice soccer field, which also doubles as their track and field.
Pretty even-keeled game from all the players, well disciplined. You don't see anything, any untoward play. I know U of A's had a lot of very strong physical players over the year. They had a guy named Carl Greger for many years back in the 80s. That was he had a reputation for some hard play. We'll just say it that way.
I was waiting to see how you were going to finish that, Ryan.
I remember one time a game was being telecast like this, and I watched it later on replay, and he took somebody out, and they thought it was me, and they said, "Oh, Ryan Kelly was some very questionable play right there." And I'm like, great, now I'm getting blamed for Carl Greger.
Well, once again, Joe Burpo not happy with the way the scrums are executed, and this time he's actually admonishing the GCU players.
Yeah, the stability of the scrum hasn't been quite what it was in that first matchup where GCU really dominated. So kudos to U of A for, I'm sure after playing Central Washington, which is an even bigger pack, they've done some things to work on it. Looking much more stable this week.
Again, the only other game that U of A played besides the 63-20 win in Tucson 2 weeks ago against the Lopes was last weekend in Ellensburg, Washington. 47-10 was the final score in favor of CWU in the Battle of Wildcat. So now the Lopes really aggressive.
Yeah, Caleb Peavy just with some fantastic work there on the chase, but unfortunately just couldn't quite field the ball, and it just bounced perfectly to a U of A player. But some great chasing by Caleb there.
Caleb gets a high five from his twin, Joshua. Joshua is a forward, and Caleb a back on this starting 15. And Figley ready to kick for touch, which he obliges.
We'll see maybe if GCU can steal another one. I think in the last line out we saw they finally got a little payback and took a steal on the line out here.
So Eric Cervantes has been handling the lineouts all night long for U of A, and he will do the honors once again. 41-10. U of A has led the entire way. They scored the first 24 points, make it 31 of the night. And now threatening to do some more as Jack McCrossan finds his seam, and all the way down, it's fumbled at the last moment.
What a fantastic cross chase there. I'm not sure who it was. It looked like maybe the backside wing for GCU running all the way across the field, but what a bone-crunching tackle on the far side there.
And the referees are conferring.
Yeah, that was
I think that might have been Ben Thompson that was the one who made that tackle to save the try. Because it looked like Agassi was well on the way to his second try of the evening.
Yeah, I thought he was off to the races there. That tells you how fast that coverage came over.
Burpo conferring with his fellow official, Josh Luchtemeier.
That's really the first break that U of A has not finished today, surprisingly. Just maybe one pass more would have gotten that through, but he was probably just as surprised as we were that he got that tackle.
Thompson coming out of nowhere, and Cathala just realized he needs a component and goes and gets the ball. So U of A with the put in on this scrum and knocking on the door of trying to add to this 41-10 edge. Nearing the midpoint of this second half. Cathala reaches in, gets it. Lagasse with the pass.
Good tackle there. Just wrapped up the legs, took him down.
Straight into the middle is Rivers. Here is Agassi. Almost fumbled.
Very nice pick off the ground there. Good hands by the U of A winger.
Salvaged by Brosell, who's threatening for a hat trick.
They're just knocking on the door here. Little
just trying to
over.
Change gear.
That's going to be out of bounds, I think.
That one, yep.
Off the back of the tri-zone there. The tri-zones here, are the more modern, very short tri-zones, and so there's not a lot of room to work there. You really got to be pinpoint accuracy if you're going to try and put one up like that.
So Agassi doesn't get the bounce the way he wanted.
Looks like maybe we've got, it looks like we've got a penalty here.
On GCU, I think.
Yeah.
Royce Fisher, the senior captain, getting the explanation.
Hard to see what we got here because it should be a dropout, 22 dropout, but it looks like, well, maybe we've got water break.
Now we've got a water break, so let's step aside. 19:15 left to go in this one. U of A in control. It's the Wildcats 41, GCU 10, right here on APN Video Productions and FTF. U of A's been very effective on their lineouts. That one goes to the turf. But U of A still able to control as Oscar Elvin, the freshman from the UK, able to get a hand on it. And now it looks like we're set for another scrum.
It's funny, both of these teams pumping a lot of guys who played back into the coaching ranks. And I know U of A's got everybody but Sean Duffy on the coaching staff, I think, is an alumni. And I know GCU now, even though short tenure of the program, they've already got an entire coaching staff but Sean O'Leary, who are former GCU players.
Well, and you obviously are very familiar with the lead assistant, Adam Majinski, because he was in your stable as well.
Also a former U of A standout. He was a scrum half and
an assistant coach.
Yeah, great story. When we started the program, he reached out to me, and I didn't really know Adam, and he said, hey, I want to help you bring this program to life. And he was probably one of the most stabilizing forces in the program. Fantastic. The program would not be where it is today without him.
Majinski has been an assistant not just with Ryan, but also with Cam Viper, who took over for Ryan and was with the program for 3 years. And Sean O'Leary has also retained him for the last 2 years, a vital part of this 8-year-old program.
Yeah, in the first few years, he was such a big part of our recruiting program. He was a younger guy, and guys really identified with him versus us older guys. And he really brought in a lot of the great players that we had. So kudos to Adam. I still get together with him occasionally for lunch and catch all the updates on the team, so it's great. A little bit of an unstable scrum there, but
the Lopes the benefactor.
Yeah.
Yep. Caleb Price looks like his night might have ended. He's come to the sideline getting high fives, the sophomore starting forward. Now the Wildcats trying to swing the momentum in the field position and doing it well.
Great cover.
Nice takedown.
Great cover tackle by the fullback for GCU. Came over, really wide area over there, and actually played it right into the sidelines, just like Sean probably draws it up in practice.
Well, and considering that Brosell has really shown when he's gotten out in the open field just how elusive he has been, and it's why he's got 2 of the tries tonight on the Wildcats docket.
We got a little bit of a nick here on somebody. Maybe
one of the Lopes down on his knees, and Lene Novatsky tending to him.
Tell you, the GCU training staff has always been so great. It's one of the modern marvels of the modern rugby game, where you actually have, athletic and health facilities, and it's the hallmark of both of these programs, which are true great college programs, is you have the resources you need.
It's such a rarity on a club sports level to be able to have not only athletic trainers that are dedicated, but to have a full-time staff of 4 led by Deborah Carter. Really a testament to the dedication that Brian Mueller, the president of GCU, has devoted to the club sports vision with Dan Nichols and Mark Nelson, Aslan Whitehead, and Taylor Potter. And it just continues to grow. Over 30 club sports here at GCU.
Yeah, and I'd say this is a different category almost of most college club sports. A lot of resources allocated towards the GCU rugby team. In fact, I was out there right before the game talking to Sean O'Leary in the locker room, and I'll tell you, that's a pretty nice locker room. You probably only see a handful of those in college rugby. I was laughing because they had all kinds of pregame snacks on the table, and I was like, wow, these guys are spoiled. Back in our day, we had a bucket of water and a slice of orange. So,
looks like Asher Davidson, the freshman out of Colorado, is the injured party, but he is able to get up, starts trying to walk it off, gets a nice round of applause from the home fans, and it looks like Davidson will be able to stay in. And Ryan, that's got to be so difficult after 54 weeks of not being able to play against other teams because of the pandemic, and now you've got to try and be at your best against a top 10 program like U of A. That's got to be so hard for Sean O'Leary, and for that matter for Sean Duffy, to be able to try and keep these kids in peak conditioning so that these kinds of injuries don't happen because of inactivity.
So true. I think I played my first 9 years of rugby and probably never went more than 2 to 3 weeks without playing some type of competitive match. Either 15s or 7s. We played year round, and so I can't imagine going 50-plus weeks without a competitive match. It's almost a lifetime in terms of collegiate rugby. So really tough, and sympathize with, of course, not only rugby, but all the collegiate and high school sports who faced a lot of these challenges.
The Lopes got through 6 of their 7 regular season games a year ago before the pandemic shut everything down, and they actually had postponed their last regular season game last year against Cal Davis before the entire pandemic shut everything down on March the 12th. Now the Lopes momentarily with possession, trying to hang on to it, though, deep in their own zone.
Got a quick penalty here. Looks like a held ball.
And the Wildcats are going to get possession and trying to build on this 38-point lead.
They're going to punch it down like he should, down into the corner, and
the dreaded line out for GCU resurfaces.
A little bit more confidence here on their own line out ability. They punched it down, and it looks like we're going to get a replacement player here.
Caleb Hunley comes into the Lopes lineup.
Maybe a little bit gingerly coming off. I think can't see here. Maybe a hamstring. As they say, this is the problem with having good hamstrings. They go bad. Yeah, that's another same play. Might get a yellow card here for this. Let's see. This is the same play we saw twice, which is kind of the sacking of the catcher of the ball off the line out. It's a good tactic as long as the player doesn't come right to the ground, because it makes it pretty obvious. Looks like the referee's warning them too.
Yeah, I think Joe Burpo telling the captain, Royce Fisher, if this happens again, then the card happens. But for the moment, it's just going to be Wildcats.
I'm going to guess if we see that again, we might get a penalty try here, because we're right down knocking. I think that's maybe what the discussion was here.
And the Wildcats are only about 2 yards outside of the try zone. That one.
Couldn't quite field it cleanly, but they did retain possession, the Cats.
Kathala off for Agassi. Agassi inching forward. Wildcats doing a great job of retaining the possession, and a bowling move, but falling and going forward and out of the try zone.
Just couldn't quite hang on to it. Had a break. It looked like he might punch it across. Couldn't see who it was.
Carter Clark, the hometown product from Cienega High School in Tucson, was that close to the try zone and just had the ball ripped out of his hands, and it went forward.
I'll tell you, some of the local area Tucson high schools have produced some tremendous rugby players over time, and few of them, in fact, right now, one of them playing in Major League Rugby, Ryan Mattias, who was the U of A great. In fact, his dad, Mike Mattias, was a fantastic rugby player himself. Played with him for many years, and actually a lineage there. So. But all Tucson area people.
Scrum down right at the edge of the try zone is tricky with the put in for GCU and scrambling to get it.
A little bit of just Aaron, a little bit of room out there, and they just decided to take a run for it, and unfortunately you can't have errors. Now they're going to have a scrum for U of A about 5 meters out here.
Thompson got one hand on it, but that was all, and it went to the turf. So. Scrum now on the far side upcoming as we move underneath the 10-minute mark of the second half.
Whenever you see that quick knock on, you can almost hear me in it. It's inaudible, but it's the
it's the inner groan.
It is. It's the inner groan that comes out, and as a coach, you just hate to see that. I mean, you work so hard. They did a great job defending the line out, got the takeaway, and then just throw it away like that. It just hurts as a coach.
So Kathala set to put in for U of A. Kathala able to field it cleanly. Here is Clark getting close. Lost the ball momentarily, gets it back. Here is Rogers reaching and touching. Try down for Rogers. And that is John's second of the night. And U of A has gone over 50.
Yeah, that was a great play. You can see in the replay here, just same thing. Quick ruck, and then playing to the same side. Just too many numbers over there, and he just stretches out the arm to get it down. And you know, that's what happens when you get the quick ball like that coming off the back of the ruck. It's just too hard to get the defenders over, and so you get a little bit of an overload, and that's what you had there.
So Rogers with 2, Brosell with 2 to lead the way for U of A. And now Sean Duffy, after seeing Robert Figley go 4 for 6 in 2-point conversions, trying to see if Maxime Kathala, the Frenchman, can go 2 for 2.
He's got a lively leg. That last kick, just a quick strike. It's almost not even a full kick, but the ball just jumped off the foot. Yeah, that
one, plenty of leg, tailing left, but inside the upright. So Kathala 2 for 2, and U of A's lead is now up to 55-10 here in the final 7 minutes of play.
I tell you, French rugby is probably one of the funnest to watch in the world. Nothing better than some international rugby with France playing.
What makes that so special, Ryan?
Totally unpredictable.
Okay.
Lose by 21 week and win by 20 the next week. They're really hard to tell, but the open style of play that the French have, particularly the in the south of France. Really fun to watch. A lot of good players play out of France, and probably my favorite place to go watch rugby. And been fortunate enough in my life to be able to see a lot of French rugby.
Chip shot by the Lopes.
Oh.
Rivers settling under it, but a host of Lopes stealing it away, and that's Caleb Peavy.
Great pick by GCU right off the kick. I got a scoring opportunity here. Good attacking.
Fisher hands off to Gray. Gray thrown down, but the Lopes able to maintain possession. Thompson trying to break a tackle.
Got a quick pick and go right off the back of the ruck there. Looks like could have a penalty come. Nope. GCU.
Oh, and that one goes right off the hands.
Boy, that was set up so nicely for GCU. They had some good attacking numbers out to the left there. But we do have an offsides penalty here. So it looks like GCU is going to get another chance here. I'm going to bet we get it. Oh, that was, well,
they're going to let it go.
Looked like off the foot, he said, not off the hand. So fortunate for GCU.
Peavy on the bottom for the moment.
Gives the quick pass there. Oh, quick takeaway.
Quick takeaway by Rivers. Rivers, the sophomore, able to change possession. And Cathala with the quick kick for field position. And now it bounces away. And as the Wildcats have done a couple of times tonight, able to steal it out of the air. And now it's the Lopes trying to intercept.
A strange progression of play there. It almost looked like GCU was going to score, and about a second later, it looked like U of A was going to score.
GCU comes away with it. Here's Peavy. Quick toss, and the Lopes are brought down. Lopes able to retain possession. And the Wildcats come away with it.
Fantastic poach by one of the U of A players. Just reached right in there. Picked the ball out of the ruck cleanly, and ref said play on.
Agassi.
A little bit of a high tackle here, but no warning.
So U of A will keep it as Agassi handling the ball. And Lucas looking like he's about to kick for touch and set up the line out, which he does.
Like looks like U of A is trying to head back to close to that same number they got the first go round.
63-20 was the score 2 weeks ago in Tucson between these two squads.
You know, one of the things you should note about rugby for those listening in that don't watch a lot of college rugby is the gradations between these teams. You know, a team that's 5% better than than their opposition will beat them by 30 points. A team 10% better will beat them by 50 points. The gradations are very slight. You get a team that's 20% better, they could tag you for 80 or 90 points. And so it's strange. Unlike football, college football, which everybody's so familiar with, you get a lot of very strange scores in college rugby based upon those kind of small gradation differences.
Wildcats with another clean line out, and Agassi spinning his way towards the try zone. Taken by Cathala. Cathala spins around. Couple of Lopes trying to prevent him from getting in. And now head referee stopping play momentarily.
The U of A, I think, will be happy with this outcome. Although the score is similar to the last time, I think GCU hasn't had quite the dominance they had in some periods of the match, and so I think that'll be good for U of A. I think Sean Duffy will be very happy with that. I know the alumni base at U of A, which is very strong, will be happy. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention here the fantastic, the true legend of the sport and the true legend of Arizona rugby, Dave Sitton. Boy, he's probably smiling from heaven watching this because the Cats are really playing a nice game here and very disciplined and a very good game plan for sure.
Put in by Cathala. Wildcats trying to add on one more. Rogers going for the hat trick, but he loses possession before he's able to touch it down.
We've seen a few, I think 2 or 3 of the spill forwards right at the goal line by U of A.
And I think that one may have been poked out by one of the Lopes.
Yeah, and I think that shows a little bit of the good defense, some good defense by GCU at the defensive line there. Just last second on a few of them, they've been able to punch it out and get a knock on, and they get a scrum here as a result.
Final minute and a half on the scoreboard, and the Lopes trying to avoid having this score get any more lopsided, trying to prevent the Wildcats from hitting 60 for the second straight game. But the Wildcats about to keep their record in this rivalry intact. They have not lost in the previous 5 meetings.
I tell you, U of A is going to be a happy fan base today. It looks like the women's basketball team from U of A is beating UConn 41-31 in the third quarter, which that
is
would
amazing.
Be a massive upset if that holds.
And the Lopes able to get out from the shadow of their own try zone. But that one tipped away. Lopes able to get it back. And wisely kicking for touch is tricky.
Actually just missed. I think he was hoping that one would
stay in.
Yeah, there was no wing down here, and he correctly assessed no wing, and the fullback was up, and unfortunately it just took a little bit of a sail, probably a bounce the other way. That would have been a try for GCU. It's kind of the story of the night for some of their offense, and just haven't quite gotten on track on some of these.
We should salute several seniors that are playing their final game for Sean O'Leary. Damon McCaskill, Sam Muter, Royce Fisher, the captain.
I remember Sam. He was, I think, one of the last players that I recruited, and was so happy to get him to come down here and to have some more height on the team. That's always the challenge, is to get some of those guys that are 6'3", 6'4". We were fortunate enough at GCU to have an early player named Ian Matthews Youngblood, who came out 6'5", just a dominant line-out player. What a fantastic player for us in the early days.
And of course, Ian has been in the news over the last year because of his struggles with stage 4 cancer.
Indeed, one of the most amazing stories, and I hope he is doing well. And it's kind of a funny story. He has a blue Great Dane who is the brother of my Great Dane. So there's a little bond there. Occasionally he'd bring him over, and the two would be small ponies in my backyard playing with each other. So. Well,
we certainly send our prayers to Ian Youngblood, who continues to fight the good fight.
He made some amazing plays in that first couple years with GCU Rugby. I've got some great game film of him absolutely crushing some USC players in the first year, which was fun to watch. He was a big man. He was a big man, a hard man to bring down.
They've had a few. In fact, I know that one of the things that was most disappointing for Sean O'Leary last year was the fact that he couldn't see Cameron Dotson really come to fruition with his senior year. And you talk about a big man, 6'6".
Yeah, absolutely dominant player, just like that. And also Lincoln C.
Yes,
who is now playing Major League
playing
Rugby.
pro.
Yep. Lincoln was also just one of the nicest human beings on the planet, and a very tough rugby player when he got on the field.
Wildcats with what we would surmise is probably the final drive of the night, as the scoreboard has been stopped, so the official time being kept on the field.
Kind of surprised U of A isn't kicking this to touch here, unless they maybe are not aware. Let's see what they got. Normally at this stage of the game, you frequently see just a quick kick to touch to end the game, but instead we get a knock on by U of A. Oh, actually that's going to be a penalty. So it looks like GCU is going to say, we'll take a crack at getting a score towards the end here.
2 tries by the Lopes tonight.
There's Royce with that sidestep again. Very hard to tackle. Oh, dominant run. Wow. Just throwing the U of A player out of the way there. Looks like maybe the GCU fly half.
Here's PV springing free, breaking tackles. Almost looked like a knock on, but they let it go. Here's Asher Davidson as the Lopes right on the near sideline, trying to end this on a good note. Muter, full head of steam.
Good hard run there. Good hard run by Sam.
Tricky now trying to do what he did earlier in this half and try to sneak around the Wildcat defense.
Yeah, I thought we might see that a little bit of offsides by the U of A players. So it looked like maybe there was a takeaway, but it came back to the penalty here.
Joshua Peavy taking the brunt of that tackle. Lopes still on the move.
Good hard runs by the Lopes here.
Tricky springing free, and Tucker Tricky with his second try of the night.
Well played by GCU. That was probably the best progression of play that we'll have, that we'll see tonight. But just a great take, and you can see Tricky. He was really the catalyst on several of the runs here, and just saw a little gap here right at the end and slipped through it, right through the middle, and with a beautiful dive at the end. As a coach, you always kind of wince right when they make that dive. You're like, please don't injure anything.
So the Lopes are not going to get the W, but they do finish strong. I would expect that Fisher's kick attempt will be the final play of the night, as the scoreboard has been stopped for a while and Fisher is right on target. And that is indeed the way that the Lopes season will end, on try number 2 of the night from freshman Tucker Tricky, and the captain Royce Fisher ends his career with a 2-point conversion. So the final score here at the GCU practice soccer field in the Lopes season finale for 2021, it's the Arizona Wildcats 55, the GCU Lopes 17. Now U of A goes to 2-1 on the year, and they've still got a season to try and salvage. They've got BYU after a bye week, and then they will wind up hosting Air Force, still hoping to go to the D1A playoffs. For the Lopes, they wind up this shortened season 0-2, and so now, Ryan, put your coaching hat back on. If you're Sean O'Leary, what kind of things do you kind of talk about in that post-game locker room, not just to salute the seniors, but just to kind of talk about a job well done?
Yeah, I mean, I think, once again, a lot to build off here. GCU is an extremely young team. They have virtually no foreign players on the team.
12 newcomers,
right,
yeah.
12 newcomers in this game. I think there's a lot to build on. I think in the offseason, Sean, he's a great recruiter, and I think you'll see a lot of players pull in here once we get past this COVID. That really short-circuited a lot of these programs. I know GCU had several players that ended up not actually enrolled in college anywhere.
Right.
And so, it's just hard to justify the cost for a lot of players. And so, I think what you'll see is some good, hard recruiting in the offseason. And then, like I said, a lot of players knocking off the rust in the fall. And then hopefully next spring we'll see some great rugby out of GCU.
Well, we want to thank our producer, Michael Caratanudo. We also want to thank the man who runs APN Video Productions and the man who was directing tonight's broadcast, Jeff Lowry. And a special thank you to the U of A All-American and the first GCU men's rugby head coach in their history, Ryan Kelly. Ryan, it was great to spend the evening with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
So until we talk to you next time, this is Jim Howell speaking to you from the practice soccer field on the campus of Grand Canyon University in the heart of Phoenix, and reminding you the final score in the Lopes season finale. The Arizona Wildcats 55 and the Grand Canyon University Lopes 17. Have a great night, everyone, and go Lopes.